Hi everyone, welcome back to PACU Nursing Minutes 2024. Well, I've got a lot of exciting things in store for you all this year. And recently, a new grad in the PACU reached out to me and they are interested in getting certified. So I invited this nurse to join me in a conversation about being a new grad in the PACU and also wanting to seek certification. So let me welcome Eladio Sandefur. He is from Michigan, just a little north of the Indiana state line and a little east of Chicago. Welcome to PACU Nursing Minutes, and thanks for reaching out. Your email really inspired me because you seem like one of those new nurses who's really passionate about what you're doing. I was just reading over your background and maybe we'll just take a little minute to get to know who you are.
Sure. So I live really close to the Indiana border. So the hospital that I work at is in Indiana, but I live about an hour south of Kalamazoo in this town called, or city called Cassopolis.
So you live there, but you work closer to the Indiana border?
Yes, so yeah, the hospital that I work at is in Mishawaka, Indiana, close to Notre Dame.
Oh, nice, nice. And so you have been in the PACU setting for 2.5 years as a
Yes.
student, then as a
hmm
tech and an
hmm
intern, and then now you're a nurse and you've been there for 17 months and you're part of the unit council practice committee. And
Yeah.
so while you have done a whole lot in a very short amount of time, what was your in to getting into the perioperative setting like PACU and day surgery?
Sure. So at the time that I did have my summer internship, that was in my junior year of nursing school,
Okay.
and I just so happened to be placed in the PACU and then also PCU. PACU was my first month kind of rotation,
Mhm.
so it was something that I didn't really get to spend a lot of time in nursing school. I actually had forgotten about that specialty, so I was really confused when I got placed there. But I really grew fond of it because I finally got to see like a lot of the procedures that we had talked about in nursing school.
Yeah.
That it was kind of hit or miss when we were in our med rotations if we got to see like a TERP or
Mhm.
a Coley or something. So I got to learn a lot, and I really grew fond of the teamwork. Our PACU specifically does not have like walls. It's just bays that are, you can sit the next patient over. And so the only thing that would be separating is like a curtain.
Yeah.
So everyone's very apt to be helpful and like, kind of set you up for success and helping getting your patient to the next phase of care. So I
Yeah.
really liked that quick turnaround and the teamwork that was in there. So after my internship, I kind of put like a
And
bug in the supervisor's ear. Go ahead.
Eladio, how long was your internship for? How long did that last? Just for other, and this is just to hopefully help, other nurses coming up behind you, maybe thinking about going into day surgery and, can they
Sure.
do it? So how long were you there
My
for that?
my internship in the PACU portion was a little over a month and a half.
Okay.
Um, but I got to learn so much, and it really kind of put a fire in me to kind of pursue that. So then I did put a bug in the supervisor's ear at that time about my interest. And the supervisor at that time was very not into new grads being in the PACU, kind of the traditional sense where you had to be ICU before or have some type of nursing experience prior.
Mm.
But she saw how hard that I worked and like how much the team liked me at that time, so she made an exception. Uh, she also made exceptions to people who were techs prior to um, uh, in the PACU that were there becoming nurses after.
So how long were you a tech?
Uh, I was a tech for the remainder of my nursing school portion, so that was probably an additional year and a half or year. I really did get to see, because I did work PRN, but my PRN, I felt, because I was also a tech at another hospital before my internship, and I was like a
Oh,
float CNA,
okay.
um, and that was really hard. And the tech position there in my hospital in the PACU was more so transportation, and then also helping with like setting up the patient and then emptying lines and drains. So you kind of were able to be more involved, I guess, in that aspect as a student.
Yeah, I would say, I think that that really was valuable experience for you because you get to learn the flow of a very busy department. And
Oh
um,
yeah.
and that just comes with time and just boots on the ground, like just being there day in and day out and seeing, you know, quick turns on pre-ops and getting them into the OR, like emergent cases, and then you get to see, fast track patients coming out, max, and quickly being discharged home. And um, so that is just
Yeah.
awesome experience on top of like learning all the surgeries and learning all the anesthesia and learning all the hemodynamics and physiological changes that come with when you put someone to sleep and wake them up and move them through the whole surgical process.
Right.
Yeah, so sounds like it sets you up really good to, be hired in as a new grad. So you finally, your manager just saw all that you'd done and gave you the green light?
Yeah, she gave me the green light. But that it wasn't the same manager that hired me into that nursing position that I am in now.
Okay.
That manager had left after she hired me as a tech, but she was a very good manager at that time. My current manager um, is very great too at her job. She used to be a charge nurse of my unit, so it was a very
Oh, good.
like easy hire and process too.
Good. Good. So you already knew your manager, worked with your manager, and one of your most experienced nurses kind of stepping into that management role.
Yes, yeah. And so I've also done a lot of other things that I didn't tell you in my email. I did provide MH education to the whole perioperative nurses in my
Wow.
hospital. Yeah, and then I also done a lot of charge nursing. I was a regular charge nurse on like Wednesdays from when our regular charge nurse wasn't there. So
Yeah.
um, it wasn't so much that I wanted to do it per se, but it was something that they think that, oh, he's done a lot so far, so he'd do
Mhm.
great doing this. So then they asked me to do that. So
So I have a question for you. How many other new grads in the last, a nurse that's been a nurse under 2 years is in your department, or under 3 years, since COVID? Let's just say since COVID.
okay, since COVID, so I I came in right like when COVID, the heat of COVID was kind of dying down. I would say it was still kind of like you know, like pushing vaccinations and that sort of thing that in that kind of moment. So since then, I would say we've hired an LPN that transitioned to an RN. That was their first job. And then another new grad that was hired with me, and then another nurse that was on med surge for 6 months. So I would say about three, not including me.
Yeah. Yeah, I asked that because I just helped open up a new surgery center in my region of the Pacific Northwest, and I'm working per diem there. And there's a lot of young nurses. I was kind of really surprised as I went through my orientation and got my feet back at the bedside. Our surgery center, we have majority are pretty new, under 3 to 4 years. And even our charge nurses are same, and they're doing what you're doing, they're learning about education. I was talking to one of the nurses about last, and she's like, she never heard of it. And so I
Yeah,
was like, all right, well, let's get some education going on it. And then even just the MH education and screening and in response, what do you do when you have a patient who, starts to get hyperthermic and their end-tidal CO2 goes through the roof, that cooling process, getting the
right.
Anadex, yeah. So good for you, because there's like a massive need for this education across, operative services, ambulatory surgery, PACUs, throughout the whole perianesthesia phases. I feel like we're in a huge education deficit within our facilities, because I've noticed that most PACUs don't have their own designated educator. And if they have an educator, the educator is the OR educator, and she's just there
That's
really
true.
checking off all that regulatory education, but not like really honing in on our practice and saying, do we know everything to provide safe care? Are we doing safe handoffs? Yeah.
That's very true for us too. We did not have our own designated educator. It was included into the OR education portion. Um, I'm glad that educator reached out to me to do the MH education, just because I think in previous skill fairs that we had, that MH education was occurring, it was the OR nurse, or I think maybe like a post-op nurse that was doing education for that, who didn't have the PACU background to really kind of solidify the education. So when I stepped in, I did get a lot of, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I did get a lot of like receptive feedback that it was
Good.
different than how it was before, and that they really understood it, and like the assembly line preparation of like the dantrolene and how it, like an MH code should function.
Yeah.
So I was really happy that people did get to see it from a different side, and I might do it again this year. But I just stepped into my pre-op role, so I'm trying to learn about that too.
And then if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe down below so you'll get notified of future videos. So let me just share with you some of the courses. If you don't know, we have different on-demand educational courses, all focused around day surgery. So we have PACU Nursing Basics for a new grad who's going into PACU Phase 1. We have Pediatric Surgery and Recovery for anyone who's new to peds. That's an hour-and-a-half course, on-demand self-pace. We also have another course, and it's called Top 10 Respiratory Complications After Anesthesia. And then we have our flagship course, which is the CPAN and CAPA certification review course, which you can see over here. That course is for those nurses who want to dig deeper, even get certified. And it's a 24.5 contact hour on-demand course. You set the pace, you have access to it for 1 whole year to get you ready for certification day. And so those are our products. Go to our website, PACUNursingMinutes.com, click on courses, and that's where you will find all of these landing pages to learn more about these courses. All right. Well, thank you for listening in on our interview with Eladio. That was awesome. He has gained so much experience in his last 2.5 years within perianesthesia nursing. It's tremendous. And I'm just so excited to see where his career goes. All right. Thank you for tuning in. And I'm Nurse Kathy. Okay, maybe it just needed a moment to link through. We're having really bad weather in Washington State. We're in like this big, they call them the Pineapple Expresses, and they come off of the Pacific Ocean and they just dump like tons and tons of rain. So.
Oh, it's lovely, isn't it?
Yes, it's so much fun trying to get to work driving through snowy slush at 5 a.m.